They told Margaret it was just part of getting older. A little breathlessness, a bit of fatigue, some tightness in the chest when she walked uphill. But 3 months later, she was in an emergency room, the victim of a silent heart attack that had been quietly building for years. Let me ask you something, not with fear, but with honesty. When was the last time you truly listened to your heart? And I'm not talking about emotions, I mean your actual heart. You might think that a couple of checkups and a daily pill are enough to keep it running. But the truth is, there are things your heart could be whispering, and if you ignore them, you might be missing the only warning it ever gives you. This video is about those whispers. 5 things your doctor might not tell you. Not because they don't care, but because these signs are often quiet, slow-moving, and easy to overlook. Yet for seniors over 70, they can make the difference between a long independent life and a crisis you didn't see coming. Before we dive in, if what you're hearing already feels important, take a second to like this video and subscribe. It helps us keep sharing senior health tips, motivation, elderly wisdom, and life lessons from people just like you. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Now let's get into it. Margaret's story isn't rare. Heart disease remains the #1 cause of death after 70, but here's what many don't realize. The most dangerous heart attacks in older adults often come without warning. No chest pain, no collapsing, just a vague fatigue or a mild shoulder ache. Sometimes it looks like heartburn, other times like sadness. This is what's known as a silent heart attack. And according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, nearly 45% of heart attacks in older adults show no traditional symptoms. The risk is especially high for elderly women who tend to experience heart issues differently than men, sometimes mistaking them for digestive discomfort, anxiety, or even simple tiredness. So how do you catch something that doesn't scream for help? You start paying attention to patterns. Not pain, patterns. Do you get unusually tired after going up a few stairs? Do your arms or jaw ever ache at night? Have you been brushing off breathlessness as just age? Don't ignore these signs, because your heart might be trying to tell you something long before a doctor can. And now for the second thing many doctors don't talk enough about: sleep apnea, the quiet thief of heart health. You might think you're sleeping fine, but imagine this. Every night, without knowing it, your oxygen levels drop. Your brain gets jolted awake over and over. And your heart? It's working overtime while you think you're resting. That's sleep apnea, and it's far more common in seniors than most realize. Research from the Mayo Clinic and the National Sleep Foundation shows that sleep apnea in older adults significantly increases the risk of high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, and even stroke. And no, it's not always about loud snoring. In the elderly, it can show up as dry mouth, morning headaches, restless sleep, or just feeling unrefreshed, even after 8 hours in bed. It's easy to brush it off, to say, I'm just not sleeping well anymore. But the consequences go deeper than you think. There's good news though. Sleep apnea can be treated. Sometimes with a simple change in sleeping position, sometimes with a sleep study and a CPAP machine, sometimes just by losing a few pounds or changing your evening routine. And those changes? They don't just improve sleep, they protect your heart from constant overnight stress. Now let's talk about something almost no one expects: chronic inflammation. When 82-year-old Howard took a fall last winter, he thought the worst part would be the bruised hip. But in the hospital, doctors found something else. His secret answer at protein levels, a key marker for inflammation, were sky high. No one had warned him that chronic, low-grade inflammation, from gum disease, arthritis, even long-term stress, could quietly damage his blood vessels over time. Here's the reality. Even if your cholesterol is good, even if your blood pressure is controlled, inflammation can still be silently aging your arteries from the inside. It's like rust inside a pipe. You won't see it, but eventually, it causes the system to break down. Researchers from Johns Hopkins and the American Heart Association have shown that inflammation plays a major role in heart disease after 70. And yet, most seniors never get warned about it. The solution starts with simple steps. Brush and floss regularly, not just for your teeth, but for your heart. Eat more anti-inflammatory foods. salmon, blueberries, leafy greens, olive oil. And don't ignore pain. Chronic joint pain, gum swelling, or even mild infections can trigger systemic inflammation, and that takes a toll on your heart every single day. Margaret had all three issues: the silent symptoms, the restless sleep, and the swollen gums. But she didn't know what they meant until it was almost too late. After her heart attack, she changed her routine. She tracked her energy levels, got screened for sleep apnea, cut out processed food. 6 months later, she felt alive again, not just functioning, thriving. So if you're over 70, remember this: heart disease doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes it walks in quietly, hides behind fatigue or stiffness, and waits. But now you know better. And the smallest changes, paying attention to patterns, improving sleep, reducing inflammation, could be the most powerful things you ever do. There's a part of your body that rarely gets linked to heart disease. It's not your chest or even your lungs. It's your legs. And if you're over 70, those tired legs of yours might be trying to send a message. One that has everything to do with the health of your heart. Let me explain. Many seniors experience numbness, cramping, or swelling in the legs, especially when walking. They blame it on arthritis, on age, on shoes that don't fit like they used to. But in many cases, the real issue is peripheral artery disease, or PA, a condition where arteries in the legs start to narrow and harden, reducing blood flow. And here's the dangerous part. PAD doesn't just affect the legs. It's a red flag for widespread arterial damage, including the arteries feeding your heart and brain. Let's talk about David. David is 76 and lives in New Mexico. He walks every morning, eats carefully, and checks his blood pressure twice a week. But he started to notice something odd. His legs cramped every time he walked uphill. Not just once, every time. His feet stayed cold, even on hot days. His toenails had changed. Thicker, more brittle, sometimes yellowed. He finally brought it up during a routine checkup. His doctor did a quick pulse check on his ankles and frowned. Barely any blood flow. A scan confirmed it. David had moderate PAD. His legs weren't getting enough circulation. And if his leg arteries were blocked, so were others. Luckily, he caught it early. Now he's on medication, doing daily leg exercises, and keeping his heart healthier by protecting his legs. So if you ever feel cramping when you walk, numbness in your toes, or just a slow heaviness in your steps, don't ignore it. That's not just discomfort. That might be your heart talking through your legs. Now let's shift to something harder to talk about. Something that doesn't show up on a scan or blood test. Loneliness. If you've felt more alone lately, you're not imagining it. And it's not just an emotional burden, it's a medical risk. According to Harvard Health and the National Institute on Aging, chronic loneliness increases the risk of heart disease by nearly 30%. That's right, loneliness can be as damaging to your heart as high cholesterol or smoking. Why? Because the emotional state we live in changes the chemistry of our body. Loneliness triggers stress hormones, like cortisol, which raise blood pressure, stiffen arteries, and weaken the immune system. Over time, this constant stress response damages the heart. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor is 85. Her husband passed away years ago, and her kids live 2 states away. Before the pandemic, she stayed active, went to church, hosted Sunday dinners. But over time, the calls slowed, the visits stopped. She told herself she was fine, that she liked the quiet, until one morning she fainted in the kitchen. At the hospital, doctors found elevated cortisol levels and signs of heart strain. No infection, no major blockage, just stress. Eleanor had developed what's known as broken heart syndrome, a form of heart failure caused by extreme emotional strain. Her doctor's prescription? Join a walking group, talk to someone every day, write down her thoughts, volunteer. 3 months later, Eleanor's blood pressure stabilized. Her energy returned. She laughed more, walked farther. Her heart was healing not just physically but emotionally. And that's what many doctors forget to say. Your heart isn't just a pump. It's an emotional organ. It beats differently when it feels connected. You don't need 10 friends. One kind voice, one listening ear, one reason to smile. That's enough. Even if that connection is with yourself. Which brings us to the next truth. One almost no one dares to admit. Emotional suppression. For decades, especially if you're a man, you've probably been taught to tough it out, to hold it in, to be the strong one. But here's what science now confirms. Bottling up your emotions damages your heart. Studies from Johns Hopkins University and the American Heart Association show that unexpressed anger, grief, or chronic anxiety increases the risk of arterial inflammation, high blood pressure, and heart rhythm issues. Your body doesn't forget what your mind refuses to feel. Let me introduce you to Alan. Alan is 80, a retired Marine, widower, father of 4, the kind of man who never cried, never asked for help. He'd had 2 small strokes, and his doctors were puzzled. His numbers were good, his tests were clean. Until one young doctor asked him a question he hadn't heard in years. "How are you really doing?" Alan broke down. He started weekly grief counseling, just 30 minutes a week. No therapy jargon, just stories about his wife, his childhood, his regrets. 6 weeks in, something changed. He was sleeping better, laughing more, even walking longer without pain. His heart rate dropped, his energy rose. He told his son, "I didn't know how heavy it was until I started letting it out." Here's what Alan learned, and what I hope you hear too. Your emotions don't disappear when you ignore them. In your chest, in your blood vessels, in the tension you carry, in the breath you hold. So if you're carrying grief, resentment, fear, speak it. Whisper it, write it, sing it, cry it. Whatever you do, release it. Because holding it in isn't strength. Letting it out is healing. So here's what we've seen so far. Poor leg circulation, loneliness, and suppressed emotion. They're not just footnotes in your health. They're central players in the story of your heart. And your heart deserves better than silence. Take a moment today. Check your legs, call someone. Say what you've been holding back. Because your heart, that loyal beating drum inside you, it's listening, it's waiting, and it's worth protecting. There's a quiet saying passed down among people who live long lives. You don't die of old age. You die when your heart gives up. But here's the thing. You can teach your heart not to give up. Not now. Not if you start showing it the care it deserves. Let's talk about the subtle, everyday choices that either preserve your heart or slowly wear it down. Not the big emergencies. The quiet habits. The things no one applauds, but that add years to your life when no one's watching. And we begin with how you start your day. Most people, especially after 70, wake up too quickly. They sit up fast, stand even faster, and try to move like they're still 40. But your heart needs a moment, especially if you've got high blood pressure or a history of dizziness. There's a condition called orthostatic hypotension. It's a sharp drop in blood pressure when you rise too quickly. And it's dangerous. A study from the American College of Cardiology found that seniors who jump out of bed without pause face significantly higher risk of fainting, heart stress, and falls. And yet most people have never heard of it. So here's your new morning habit. Before standing, sit up slowly. Wiggle your toes, take 3 deep breaths, stretch your arms, let your body catch up. Give your heart time to adjust to the day. That 30-second pause, it's a gift. And it could be one of the most heart-protective habits you ever develop. Now let's talk about walking. Yes, you've heard it before. Stay active. Go for a walk. But what they don't tell you is that how you walk matters just as much. It's not just about moving, it's about moving with intention. Try to use Smith, a geriatric cardiologist at Johns Hopkins, studied over 4,000 adults aged 70 and older. She found something surprising. Those who walk with purpose, upright posture, steady stride, clear rhythm, had better heart outcomes even if they walked less overall than others. In other words, 10 minutes of mindful walking, where you're focused on your steps, your breathing, your surroundings, beats an hour of shuffling around without awareness. Think of walking as a moving meditation. It boosts circulation, calms the nervous system, supports joint health, and lowers cortisol. So next time you take a walk, don't just get it done, feel it. Let your arms swing, let your eyes take in the sky, let your feet say thank you with every step. Because when you walk with presence, your heart remembers. And now food. No, not dieting, not fads. Just nourishment. Let's start with fiber, hydration, and healthy fats. Oats in the morning, a handful of walnuts, a slice of avocado, leafy greens, sautéed gently in olive oil. These aren't trends, they're time-tracted tools. Fiber keeps your arteries clear. Water keeps your blood flowing. Omega-3s from walnuts, flax, sardines, and salmon reduce inflammation, support heart rhythm, and even improve mood. You'd be shocked how many seniors are dehydrated and don't even realize it. Dehydration thickens your blood. It makes your heart work harder. And over time, that extra strain adds up. So keep a glass of water by your bed. Drink before you feel thirsty. Add lemon or mint if that helps. Every sip is a quiet act of self-protection. But here's something most people never connect to heart health. Music. Yes, music. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that listening to calming music, especially songs paced between 60-80 beats per minute, significantly lowers resting heart rate and blood pressure. Music doesn't just entertain, it soothes. It regulates your nervous system. It even slows your breath. And when that music connects to your memories, it becomes medicine. Remember Margaret from part 1? After her heart scare, she started listening to old records each afternoon. Ella Fitzgerald, Sinatra, a little Chopin. She said her pulse dropped. Her afternoons went from restless to peaceful. So, put on your favorites. Let your body soften. Let your heart find its rhythm in the melody. And finally, the one habit that might matter more than any food or fitness routine. Forgiveness. Not what you expected, but it could be the most powerful heart medicine you'll ever know. You see, holding on to anger, resentment, or old hurt doesn't just weigh on your spirit. It weighs on your body. Researchers at Stanford University found that long-term resentment and unprocessed grief lead to higher cortisol levels, narrowed arteries, and increased risk of cardiac events, especially in people over 70. It literally hardens your heart. But forgiveness, even silent personal forgiveness, softens the load. You don't have to call the person who hurt you. You don't have to forget. But you can choose to say, I'm done carrying this. Say it aloud, write it down, whisper it into the wind. Just let it go. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. It restores the natural rhythm of your heart. And that rhythm, steady, open, at peace, is the secret to long life. Now, take a moment. Place your hand over your chest. Feel that gentle thump, that steady rhythm. That's your heart, your oldest companion. The one who's been there through every loss, every joy, every chapter of your life. Treat it well. Not just with pills or pressure. With patience, with attention, with love. Wake slowly, walk mindfully, eat with care. Listen to music, forgive often. Because this isn't about avoiding death. It's about choosing how you live, every single day. If this video gave you something to think about, a habit to try, a breath to take, or even just a deeper sense of peace, let us know in the comments. And tell us truly, where are you watching from today? If you haven't already, consider liking this video and subscribing. Your support helps us continue bringing elderly reflections, inspiration, senior health tips, and life lessons from the elderly to people who need them. Here's to your heart. Here's to peace, strength, and presence, even after 70. Stay well.